Notice it's not flashing no more, right? I did nothing and the vehicle just shut itself off in mid. Now our light's flashing again. I did nothing. I had the ignition turned on all the way. All lights just shut off. Everything just died and came back on, and anti-theft is triggered again. Audio's off. I have to turn this whole screen off if I could. Interior lights. No. Gotta close the door. Pay attention to the ignition key. The anti-theft light. Now you gotta figure, hey Adam, now you gotta figure and take in consideration that this vehicle is owned by somebody who is very knowledgeable when it comes to mechanics. Also, it has been to Carl Flammer, and they did as so much as replace the ECU and wanted him to replace the cluster, and then ended up sending this car out the door not working. It was towed out of there, okay?
Yeah.
Now, why will the ECU not scan for me? And other than the fact that how could it possibly not get programmed at 40?
So the OBD2 port should go directly to the ECU connection, right?
In which, yeah,
Like
that's straight to
and
straight to
then
PCM.
from the ECU, then it goes to the dash and everything else.
Yeah, we
You
have.
talk to the computer, so right now you can't even talk to the computer.
I can't. No, I can't. It will not give me communication. See right here.
Yeah.
It's just a minute. That's gonna flash in a second. It's gonna go green. See, it's green. We're connected now. PCM. Device is unable to communicate. If you haven't noticed, our ignition key is no longer flashing. It's still saying to check the charging system. And I'm gonna try to start the vehicle with no results.
Red cables that are connected to the power. What's this?
So what I just did is an old school trick of what they do for all GM vehicles, Chevy particularly, is when PCM or body control module, engine control module was put in the vehicle, they did not program it, or you bought one from online that was bench flashed, and you could get the vehicle to where you needed to go under mild conditions.
Safety mode.
Yeah, which I could never get that to do, so I just install it and tow it to the place. Let's see if that works. Because you heard the door start to like lock.
3 times. Yeah, I heard it.
All right. Our anti-theft is slowly coming to a stop. If you're watching his little bugger right there.
Where are you?
Put it in front of the little cabinet off the left.
Now, occasionally I'll see the gas gauge needle just drop and then come back up out of nowhere. There's 4 admin keys. I have 2. Alright, so I believe our system has stopped. Anti-theft should be good to go. I'm gonna try to start the vehicle. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I do have power going to our battery trickle so that we are maintaining voltage, as you can see. .22 volts. Wow, we're at in the ignition. What I'm going to come down to is going to the clutch switch down here. I'm going to unplug that and see if we can bypass that. Like, just unplugging it should allow you just to put your hand in the car and boom, fire it up. Old school trick that I did when I was a kid with my DSM.
You said don't distract you from this car. You're supposed to work on this car.
You are a distraction. And now Tony's working on that one. Yeah, man. It's very. Why, if the car just stopped starting, did you not just try to put a starter in it? Or you take it to the Ford dealership like my customer did and gets taken for a ride. I'm gonna start with the basics, man. I'm gonna try this clutch switch. I mean, if this was me and this was brought to me and I didn't know nothing, no background about the car, I didn't know that it had an ECU put in it or it stopped running, I would automatically jump to that starter. I'd put a new starter in it, and if it did the same stuff that it's doing right now, then I'm gonna go from there to see if I got power coming from the ignition to the starter. If I have power coming from the ignition to the starter, I'm gonna go to pretty much, you know, neutral safety switches if it's a automatic, or clutch switches. But this thing's saying it's got a check charging system. I gotta check the voltage regulator or the alternator in this thing. And you know, these things can get expensive. These things can jump up, and I understand why, you know, the frustration of customers when it comes to being at the mercy of your typical mechanic. But at Nemesis Performance, I try to just make sure that, you know, we get treated how I would want to be treated, or you would want to be treated if you're an enthusiast. But yeah, man, This thing was brought in, towed in, and he's had it since it was brand new. It's a 2011 Shelby GT 500. It's my man's Adam in the background. And this thing just stopped starting for him. He's a one-time owner. It just stopped starting and stopped working. And Ford couldn't do nothing for him. They, I don't know why they didn't replace the starter, man. It still bothers me. Huh? No. Oh, Alfonso?
You should connect directly to the
HP tuners, and the guy's like, oh well, sorry, I can't display that. Yeah, I'll tell you about that in a second. When they took him for a ride, man, I don't know why they just didn't put a starter in it. They automatically jumped to it's a computer, put an ECU in it, same thing, didn't start. All because his radiator fan wasn't working. His radiator fan's not working, so they're like, oh yeah, it's got some communication with the PCM. Let's put a PCM in it. So they couldn't get it working. They gave it back to him. Doesn't run still to this day. Yeah, we got to make this thing not a paperweight. So I'm going to start at the basics, and I'll get back to you guys so you guys can see this thing running. And this wouldn't be the first time I fix something that the dealership couldn't fix. This will probably be the first time I'll document anything, and anybody will know that it happened at Carl Flammer Ford if you watch my channel. But yeah, man, this is Nick Tunes. Stay tuned. Out.